Study for the love of the game. What does that mean? Well, most people study because they have to, memorizing facts, cramming for an exam, or getting a good grade. People study to pass college, for career and job growth, to move up the corporate ladder, or to meet social expectations. When you study for the love of the game, it means to study like how an athlete practices, rehearses, and trains for their chosen sport. It means to study like how Tom Brady trains for football. It means to study like how LeBron James trains for basketball. Study like Mr. Beast works on every detail when making his social media content and his many other business ventures. Now, these legendary men are built different, like many other legendary people like them. However, they did not start off that way. When it comes to studying, in order to figure things out, like Ayanokoji, you have to train until reasoning and problem solving becomes natural to you. As in Robert Greene's book, The 48 Laws of Power, if the world is like a giant scheming court and we are all trapped inside, there is no use in trying to opt out of the game. That will only render you powerless, and powerless will make you miserable. Instead of struggling against the inevitable, instead of arguing and whining and feeling guilty, it is far better to excel at power. With the old saying, knowledge is power, people that have more knowledge often have more power. You need to study for the love of the game in order to get the knowledge that grants you that power. ChatGPT and other AI tools are not going to hold your hand all the time. You need to figure out and engage in important conversations and make important business decisions that will affect your livelihood. You will not always be able to use ChatGPT to get the answers. For example, if you get a job interview in a highly competitive career and you are asked questions to test your knowledge and you always reference ChatGPT and never retain any meaningful knowledge, you will not be able to type your interview questions in ChatGPT during the interview. Studying like Ayanokoji means to keep your mind sharp and conquer every academic social challenge. Kiyotaka Ayanokoji from Classroom Elite hides his brilliance behind stillness and silence. He reminds us that intelligence isn't measured by how fast you memorize. It's determined by how you perform both academically and in high-stress environments. For example, Dr. Jordan Peterson is a well-accomplished thought leader who has difficult conversations in large public spaces such as various social media channels and many other places, similar to Ayanokoji when he is trying to deal with Class C. But in Dr. Jordan Peterson's case, many people are watching him. Some of those people are waiting for him to mess up or lose a debate. Dr. Jordan Peterson is well aware of this, even before he went viral on the internet for refusing to give up his freedom of speech to call someone by their desired pronouns, and this refusal to give up compelled people to respect Dr. Jordan Peterson even more. This type of determination cannot just be studied from a psychology book. Similar to when Ayanokoji found out that a student from his class was kidnapped by Class C, the leader of Class C put Ayanokoji in a difficult spot. Instead of panicking and losing frame or overreacting, he tactically accepted the challenge during the hostage situation. He quickly discovered his opponent's plan to attack him, and he had notified the teacher of Class D ahead of time and used his skills to turn the situation around and save the student. The whole plan was set up to tear him down and trap Ayanokoji in the control of Class C, like many other students. However, Ayanokoji saw the ruse for what it was and beat the opponent at their own game, similar to how Dr. Jordan Peterson beats his debate opponent at their own game as well. Because once you understand the game, whether it's difficult circumstances or an exam, you can stay composed, adapt, outthink the system, and win. In a school where only the strong survive, Ayanokoji sits quietly appearing ordinary, unremarkable, but he is one of a kind. Ayanokoji works to not stand out too much. He's the master of strategy, manipulation, and critical thinking. And today we are going to learn how to think and study like him. Not by cramming, but by being strategic, by observing, analyzing, and planning every move. By the end of the video, you know how to analyze problems strategically, challenge assumptions, use memory and study techniques like mnemonics and interleaving, all while thinking thinking like a real-life Ayanokoji. At first glance, Ayanokoji looks ordinary. He's placed in Class D, supposedly the inferior class, in order to blend in and have a quiet, normal school experience. But behind the scenes, he's a product of the White Room, a secret program that trains people to perfection, intellectually, physically, and psychologically. If the White Room were a real place, it would be the CIA training ground, known as the Farm. But they train adults only. Their operatives learn many things, like how to solve complex problems in high-stress conditions and escape from difficult hostile environments. Ayanokoji scored just enough to stay unnoticed, 50 points in every test, but everything he does is calculated. In studying and problem solving, you don't need to overwork yourself until you burn out. You need to min-max and work smarter like Ayanokoji. What is min-maxing and how can I use it to study? Min-maxing is a strategy used by gamers to optimize their character or gameplay by minimizing weaknesses and maximizing strength. It's all about squeezing out the best possible performance from a set of rules or mechanics. Minimized attributes are in-game choices that are less useful, less effective, and produce the least amount of gains for the time you put into them. Maximize the in-game choices that produce the most beneficial, high-yield gains at a consistent, predictable rate. A real-life person who has mastered min-maxing, even to the point where he can teach classes about it, is none other than Asmongold, who min-maxes both in-game, content creation, and business. He managed to produce and generate substantial wealth from content creation with minimal effort in thumbnails, design, and editing, and maximum amount of views, subscribers, and viewer retention. Asmongold is a min-maxing wizard that can generate record profits with no brand deals. I'm not sure if he has a staff of employees or if he runs the YouTube channel and Twitch streaming channels solo, but Asmongold has talent. If he had been working on Wall Street or managing a hedge fund, he would probably have min-maxed millionaires into billionaires in record time and then quit or retire early so he can play League of Legends because he's goated like that. So how do we master min-maxing like Ayanokoji and Asmongold when studying? To study like how Asmongold and Ayanokoji min-max, you need to build knowledge understanding by focusing only on what matters while ignoring everything that does. No procrastinating. Play to your strengths by building memory association on topics of the study material that interests you first and iron out the other details later. Asmongold focuses on just pure optimization. With his gaming and content creation empire with millions of views and massive influence in the gaming industry, Asmongold focuses only on what matters while ignoring everything that doesn't. No fancy thumbnails, no polished editing, no over-the-top flashy production. He can stream for hours with a few breaks, similar to Ayanokoji, who doesn't try to learn everything, he learns the right things. During the first day of Class D, Ayanokoji used his observation skills to observe the different students in class. He also noticed the 100,000 private points that were worth 100,000 yen, or approximately $900 that were given to the students each month was an excessively large amount of money for a government-funded school, and questioned why they would give the students so much currency. The students spend their points on frivolous things, and then some of the students started sleeping in class while others did not pay attention and play video games during class. Soon after, their overall class points went to 0, and they were no longer getting the 100 private points allowance. Ayanokoji anticipated this might happen and that there were rules that the teacher did not mention. When in school, college, or in life, there are unwritten rules you must figure out. Not just studying books, but studying the environment you are in as well. When studying, adapt the same mindset. Ayanokoji used one of the 48 laws of power, which is Law 40, despise the free lunch. As students were getting free points, it was clear to Ayanokoji that there was a catch. When people give something for free, they often want something in return, or they use generosity as a manipulation tactic. In the classroom of the elite, the school gave the students the points but did not tell them the condition that would allow them to get these points. Often in life, you may find yourself in situations where there are complex relationships, where there are complex social relationships with unclear and unwritten rules, either an exam or a boardroom meeting. You will need to adapt to the environment. Ayanokoji never speaks unless necessary. He observes everything, every conversation, every reaction. This is active listening, absorbing information, not just hearing it. When studying, listen carefully to teachers or classmates. Take notes on how concepts are explained, not just what is said. Notice gaps in arguments or areas where you disagree. This is how you learn to evaluate ideas critically. For example, on the island exam, the students had to find a location to camp at and decided what supplies to get with the points they were given. Some of the team members wanted to get a toilet, while others wanted to save the points. While they were trying to figure that out, Ayanokoji and the other students went to survey the area. As they looked for a camping site, the buff, self-absorbed student swings through the trees like George of the Jungle, and the pink-haired Instagram model student follows closely behind Ayanokoji. Ayanokoji looks at the area, studying the terrain, keeping cover from the other classes, A, B, and C students. For the island exam, the students wear wristwatches on the island. Also, the school provides 2 tents, 2 flashlights, 1 box of matches, backpacks, and basic amenities for the 1-week-long survival test on the desert island. Students have to stay in a group. Each class gets 300 S points, which they can use to buy supplies while they spend time on the island. However, they may lose or gain points depending on the conditions, which are violence against another student or stealing from other classes. If a classmate gets sick or injured, they can also lose points, and polluting the environment as well as absence in the morning or evening roll call can also lose class points. There are special spots on the island that can be claimed to gain points, and the class leader has to claim possession of one of these spots for 8 hours. There is only one class leader who holds a green card, and the class cannot change leaders unless they have a legitimate reason for doing so. And on the last day of the test, when roll is taken, if they manage to guess the other class's leaders, they gain 50 points that will be added to their total class points, in addition to the remaining S points they have at the end will also be added to their class points. If they guess the other class leaders wrong, they lose 50 points. Ayanokoji would condense vast exam data into mental shortcuts to process faster and predict outcomes and correctly guess the class leaders from class A and C. He used mnemonics, which is memory aids that turn complex information into something simple. After class D had their class leader card stolen, he anticipated that it would happen and let the plan play out, then changed the class leader to himself. Before the test had completed, he found the spy's digital camera and destroyed it so she could not take a picture of the class leader card. Then when new information came up, he switched tactics from a spot occupation tactic to a leadership identification tactic. Ayanokoji constantly evaluates information in multiple perspectives. This helps him turn a dire situation into first place in the island exam for Class D. Ayanokoji is like a Japanese version of a CIA agent. There is some real life principles we can apply in studying in order to think like Ayanokoji. To take some of the lessons from former CIA Andrew Bustamante, who says the constant experimentation and constant adaptation and constant failure, sometimes called a probability curve, that we use at the agency. And the probability curve is basically telling you that the most probable outcome is failure. 80% of the time you're going to fail. 20% of the time you're going to succeed. So you got to be ready to fail 8 times before your first success. And that does not mean it's going to be an exponential success. It's just not a failure. It might take 30 30, 40, 50 swings before you actually hit a home run. So what's going to keep you swinging? Because you're not going to get excited when you hit a base hit after 8 swings. To summarize more on what Andrew was saying, 80% of the time you are going to fail and 20% of the time you're going to succeed. This can apply to studying. However, to use the method of min-maxing stated earlier, you can study, then test your knowledge and see what 20% of the information you retain and how you manage to retain it. Then use the maximum time and effort into the method that worked. Keep repeating this process till you master the most effective method that produces the most beneficial results. When you are studying, research and practice. The many studying methods such as spaced repetition, mind mapping, linear system, Pomodoro technique, active recall, mnemonics, joining study groups, breaking subjects down to smaller parts, flashcards, self-testing, SQ3R method, Feynman technique, PQ4R method, retrieval practice, dual coding, interleaving, and delayed gratification. I often delay watching my favorite anime until after I achieve my study goals. It makes the anime more enjoyable because it feels earned and I rewarded myself after all the hard work I did. At Tokyo Metropolitan Advanced Nurturing High School, which is the name of the school in the classroom of the elite anime, the school and society are merit-based, deciding your status, power, and survival. Very similar to how standardized tests and exams determine whether or not you can excel in college and careers. Like Ayanokoji, you have to have passion for what you do. For the love of the game is a declaration of your passion and drive to pursue excellence, endure hardship, and sacrifice short-term pleasure to achieve your long-term goals. When you say do it for the love of the game, you declare that you are conquering your own destiny. Your end game is not for fame, money, trophies, or approval. It's to establish yourself as the best, the undisputed legend in your craft. For example, people like Nikola Tesla, Theodore Roosevelt, Mark Twain, J.R.R. Tolkien, William Shakespeare. These legendary people and many others like them have made waves in human society, culture, and history. Whether you love them or hate them, they have made a lasting impact on the world. Their critics and haters will long be forgotten in the sands of time, but the few exceptional people who obtain legendary status will be remembered for generations to come. When you do it for the love of the game, you have the potential to possibly reach the pinnacle of human excellence, skill, leadership, and creativity. When you do your chosen skill for the love of the game, you do it as if it's in your nature to do so. When you put countless hours of practice and struggle to master your skill. Ayanokoji is a fictional character, but what we can learn from him is that he taps into a mental state which he displays extraordinary skills effortlessly. When studying, you can tap into your own hidden potential. The first way to start is by dedicating oneself to deliberate practice. The idea is that 10,000 hours or 416.67 days or 13.7 months of practice leads to mastery. However, you need to take into consideration that some people can have innate talent, a quality instructor or a teacher who can help them reach the mastery goal far sooner. It is the result of constant, purposeful, and sustained effort over many years and a long-term commitment to consistently seeking ways to grow and build accumulative knowledge to become a world-class master of your skill. Also, do not get set in your ways. Following rigid old methods all the time, you need to have the ability to adapt adapt to new information and changing conditions. Why is study so important? Recently, many jobs have been taken by AI. Many more jobs will be taken away in the future. People are required to have college degrees, years of experience, and several other job requirements and certificates to even be considered for a job. As for AI, it does not need a college degree nor any experience. In fact, companies are not even sure if AI can even complete most job tasks or add any value to their company at all. Yet AI will still be given many jobs over humans just due to it being cheaper. Even if AI lowers customer experience and fails to answer customer questions and cause companies to lose customers altogether, businesses will still move forward with replacing human labor with AI. Whatever few jobs are left will only go to highly specialized people who are expert at what they do. In lieu of that, people will have to study in order to be one of the highly specialized subject matter experts who either will be hired or contracted to solve the problems that businesses will be having in the future. How to learn the needed skills for a highly competitive job market. Practice metacognition, awareness of your own thought process. This technique involves verbalizing your inner thoughts while you are working through a task, a problem, or while reading. Journalize your mental process, making them tangible and easier to analyze. Obtain mastery of multiple choice questions. Try eliminating what can't be true. You can use the same principles for standardized tests. Spot and remove answers that contradict the question or known facts. Test extremes. If an option says always or never, it's usually misleading. Watch for those. Track confidence level. Circle questions you're unsure of. Revisit them after anchoring secure answers. If you enjoy learning how Ayanokoji brilliance can reshape the way you study, you'll love our other videos where we break down other topics. So hit the like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. As I work on producing better self-improvement videos like Ayanokoji, be calm, be strategic, and deliberate as you work on improving yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Master as many skills as you can. Learn, study, and do it for the love of the game.